Welcome back to the Adam Schefter Podcast, Thursday-style edition, as we look ahead to what looks like the most impressive slate of NFL games that we've gotten this season. And to break it all down and to look ahead, we bring in the co-host of the Pat McAfee Show, my friend, my colleague, Ty Schmit, for the Thursday edition of the Weekly Six-Pack.
Thank you very much, Schefty. I appreciate it. Good to be back. I appreciate you guys, filling in for me on Tuesday in my absence. And like you said, Schefty, hey, a couple of these weeks, we've kind of had to create our own juice, get excited for some games that maybe aren't that exciting. But like you said, this slate this weekend is unbelievable. So let's get right into it. And topic number one of this Thursday six-pack, in your opinion, we have a lot of options here. What is the game of the week? We have Seahawks-Rams. We have Broncos-Chiefs, Eagles-Lions, Bills-Bucs. I mean, the list goes on and on. In your opinion, what is the game you are most excited for this week?
In all honesty, let me just put up a do not disturb sign on my body, 1 p.m. Sunday until the end of Sunday night when the Lions and Eagles play. Do not disturb. I don't care that things are happening at home. I don't care that work problems are just let me watch these games because this is the best slate of games that we've gotten so far. That is an incredible collection. And it's so much so that, to me, the NFL missed an opportunity here. The Seahawks-Rams game in Los Angeles on Sunday afternoon. Think about this. With all the flexibility that the NFL has to move around games, to put them in the late afternoon slot on Sunday, to flex them into Sunday night, somehow, the single best matchup of this weekend is in the 4:05 Eastern time slot on Sunday. Most of the country is going to be getting the Broncos and Chiefs. Great game. Never can go wrong with Patrick Mahomes and the Broncos in Denver. Great matchup. But the Rams and Seahawks have been overlooked all season long. And to me, they're being overlooked again on Sunday. They're in a 4:05 window where most of the country will not get to see the game. I can tell you what game I'm going to be clued in on, zeroed in on that one. What a matchup. I think these might be, right now, the two best teams in football. You can make an argument for the Lions. You can make an argument for the Buccaneers. You can make an argument for the Colts, the Patriots, a lot of great teams. But there haven't been two teams better than the Seahawks and the Rams. And the Seahawks and Rams, what a matchup. Like Sam Darnold went up against the Rams twice last year as the Vikings quarterback guy.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't fare very well. I don't think he saw ghosts, but it didn't go well for him. And it contributed to him leaving Minnesota and winding up in Seattle in this matchup on Sunday. It's fantastic. This is the one I've got circled.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, and I think you're right. I think these probably are the two best teams in the NFL right now because, that the score was a little closer than the game actually indicated last week, but, the Rams, they killed the Niners, and the Seahawks, they've just been doing this week in and week out. They bring hell to everybody they play, both offensively and defensively. And we're still getting another week of Rashid Shaheed under our belts and actually maybe seeing him a little more involved in the offense. And I think you make a good point about Sam Darnold. He doesn't really seem like the kind of guy who's, needs to add a bunch of chips on his shoulder because obviously everything that's happened in his career has kind of done that for him. But like you mentioned, he's in a great place right now. That Rams game coupled with the Week 18 game against the Lions, I mean, how much money do you think his performance in those games lost him? He's probably, if they win those two games and they advance a little bit, he's probably still the Vikings quarterback. So I'm sure he is very, very motivated. And, I mean, I think you're right, man. It's just too bad that this isn't a national spotlight game because, boy, if you're in the middle of the country or on the East Coast, chances are you probably haven't seen Seattle play very often because not only are they, kind of getting masked over there, but the game, I mean, like last week's, the game was over with, 12 minutes left in the second quarter. So you're not checking in on that. I am so excited for that one.
Alex Smith said on Get Up on Monday morning that literally he went to the bathroom, and by the time he came back, it was 28-0. To which I said, I hope your stomach's feeling better. That's what I told him at that point in time. But the fact of the matter is, Seattle, people don't realize how great Sam Darnold has been. The Seahawks got cheaper at quarterback. They saved money. They added a pick by trading Geno Smith to the Raiders, and they got better at the position. Sam Darnold is playing at an elite MVP caliber level performance right now. And now he gets to go up against the team that really helped create his undoing in Minnesota that led to him going to Seattle. Again, great matchup. And we were talking on Get Up this morning. I think the widespread expectation among the panelists on the set this morning that at least one of these two teams will be in the NFC Conference Championship game.
Yeah, I don't think that's far-fetched to say at all, and we talked about all that stuff, and then there's the other storylines with, Cooper Kupp going back to L.A.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Exactly, and he said, hey, we can't make it about that, obviously. This is our football team trying to go in and beat a tough divisional opponent, but then there's also I think a lot of people at this point are kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop when it comes to Seattle in terms of them winning on the road. We know what Mike McDonald's road record is, but, at this point, the proof is kind of in the pudding. They win on the road. They are unbelievable. And yeah, this early indications, we might be getting the game of the year. So that one is going to be awesome. You mentioned it there, Schefty. Let's move on to topic number 2. What do you make of this Chiefs-Broncos game this Sunday? It's weird. Depending on what sportsbook you look at, a lot of people still have the Chiefs as the Super Bowl favorite, even though the Broncos have, a 2.5 game lead on them right now, but still going into this one, it kind of, I think it was on Get Up earlier this week. One of the questions was, would you be shocked if the Broncos upset the Chiefs this weekend? And it's crazy that that's the kind of, narrative we have going into this game, but it's the reality.
And you've got a situation where if the playoffs were going to start today, Ty, the Kansas City Chiefs would be out. They would not be in the playoffs. They may be the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. They may be the odds-on favorite to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. They may be whatever you want to call them. They're not in the playoffs if the playoffs start today. Currently, they are the 8th seed in the AFC. They are 5-4. And so if they can't find a way to win this game against a Broncos team that's winning but not playing great football at all, then the Chiefs are 5-5. And their margin of error has dramatically been reduced for the back half of the season. It's not a must-win for Kansas City. Must-wins aren't until later in the year, true must-win. But this is the kind of game that the Chiefs have to have. And everybody agrees that if the Chiefs can make it to the playoffs, that they'll be as formidable and dangerous as anybody. But first, there's the matter of this game. And right now, the Broncos have, I believe, the best record in football, tied for the best record in football. They are very tough at home. I think Bo Nix and Sean Payton are 11-2 in Denver. Very tough to beat there. But when you watch the Broncos, something's been off. And now it looks like they're going to be without J.K. Dobbins, their running back. He's not going to play on Sunday for Denver. So now they're going to have to lean on R.J. Harvey and Tyler Bidet, the other running back, and Jaleel McLaughlin. So other running backs are going to have to come through. And Bo Nix, he just hasn't looked right this year. Dan Orlovsky had some tape on him this morning on Get Up where his feet were very happy, very unsettled. He's shifting all around. He's not very stable. He's looking to move around. He is moving around. And somehow, Denver and Bo Nix have to figure that out. Now, I'm not a quarterback whisperer, but when I watched that video, you could just see he didn't look right in the pocket. And the Broncos' offense has not looked right. And everybody knows how great Denver's defense is. On the other side, I believe Kansas City's getting back its first-round draft pick, Josh Simmons, at left tackle. That should help the Chiefs' offensive line and make the Chiefs that much more formidable. And this is the game that's being broadcast to the majority of the country. This is the game the NFL thought would be the game of the week. And it is a great game. And it would be the game of the week in most any other week if the Rams and Seahawks weren't playing at 4:05 Eastern.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think we'll learn. We know what the Chiefs are. I mean, now, if they miss the playoffs, I think a lot of people will be shocked. But like you said, I don't think this is a must-win in any stretch of the imagination. But I think we are going to learn a lot about the Broncos because, like you said, there's kind of been some whispers coming out. And again, who knows if this stuff, it's from anonymous players and stuff like that. But we know how unbelievable their defense is, and we're starting to hear we're worried about the offense because it's, that now Bo Nix has been a magic man in the fourth quarter, and he's been nails, but. You can't. I don't know if you can continue like that. Other shoe eventually drops. You can't just play pitiful for 3 quarters and then all of a sudden turn it on in the fourth quarter, especially in the playoffs when you're going against some of these elite quarterbacks. But you know how the media is and everything. If the Broncos end up losing this game, there's going to be a lot of these guys are pretenders. Paper champions, all that.
By the way,
stuff.
We can come up with the storylines for the loser of this game right now. They're pretenders if Denver loses. They're going to have to fight to hang on against the Chiefs and the Chargers. And if the Chiefs lose, can they make it now to the playoffs?
Yep, exactly. So I think you're right. A lot of people are going to be very interested in that one, and obviously, Denver, pretty strong home field advantage. But you're right. I mean, it's a lot of people are going to want to watch that one, but man, it is tough that is in the same window as Seahawks-Rams, especially for a lot of people who you just look at box scores and you see what the Seahawks are doing. Now you have a chance to actually watch them in a good slot on Sunday. So 2 unbelievable games right there. Excited for both those. Let's move on to topic number 3 of this Thursday's Six-Pack. Schefty, we chatted about it for several weeks when things weren't going great, and the sports books agreed. When the Ravens were sitting at 2-5, they were still the favorites to win the AFC North. And we said, hey, after this bye, let Lamar get a little bit healthier. Their schedule gets a little bit softer. And will and behold, here come the Ravens.
Oh, listen, it's on. And when Pittsburgh loses last week to the Chargers, you could just feel the pressure ratcheting up in that division. And the Baltimore Ravens, I believe their record's 4-5 right now, and it just feels like they're coming. It just feels like the division is in their sights when they were 1-5, and people were ready to have their funeral and say the Ravens were dead. Like, not quite. I picked up their fantasy defense in football, by the way, about a month ago.
Good move.
And they're my starting defense in my ESPN fantasy team. And this is a team that is starting to figure it out. They're getting healthier. They added Draymond Jones at the trade deadline. They've gotten better. They're winning. It just feels like they're coming on. Here comes Derrick Henry. Here comes Keaton Mitchell, the running back who they want to get some more work. Now, Lamar Jackson didn't practice on Wednesday. Knee soreness. But my understanding is, as we record this Thursday morning, Lamar will practice today, and he is expected to play on Sunday. And if the Ravens are saying that, they're not going to mess around with the injury details after what they went through earlier in the year and incurred the $100,000 fine. They're not going to not list him as not practicing and then say he's practicing and he doesn't practice and then he doesn't, he's on track to play this week. We expect Lamar Jackson to play against the Browns this week, and we expect Baltimore to play another good game, and we expect Baltimore to continue to become more of a factor in this division and in that conference. And that's the way the season looks like it's unfolding for the Ravens right now.
Yeah, as of right now, they're a game back in the division. And I mean, we mentioned it. They're at Browns this week, and they play the Jets at home, the Bengals, who we'll see,
at home.
Yeah, at home. And maybe Joe Burrow plays in that game on Thanksgiving night, but I think that might be a little soon there. And then they have the Steelers, and then they're at home, and then they're at the Bengals. So,
right. So basically, at Cleveland, 3 straight home games, and at the Bengals.
Correct. And
that stretch, it's hard to imagine they're not going at worst, 3-2, possibly 4-1, and you could make an argument that they go 5-0.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, just looking at it right now, and we know it's a week-to-week league, anything can happen, but you can understand why they were okay with maybe sitting Lamar out a little bit longer and making sure that he was as close to 100% as possible. Because, yeah, we could be looking at them going in right before Christmas there. They play the Patriots at home. They could be 9-4 and kind of have a stranglehold on.
Oh, my God. I mean,
division.
Think about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But, hey, I guess, there's a reason the sports books make all that money because they're pretty sharp and they kind of know what could happen. So I think you're right. The Ravens are coming, and I'll tell you what, especially getting into late November and December, I don't think that's a team you want to play, especially if you're in the AFC North.
You say they're coming. I think they've already arrived.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. So we'll see. That'll be an interesting one to watch this weekend. And boy, man, who would have thought of that a couple weeks ago when it was Cooper Rush or Snoop Huntley or what's going on, and here we are, and they're one of the scariest teams in the NFL right now. All right, Schefty, let's move on to topic number 4 of this Thursday's Six Pack. A lot of great players, obviously in the league. Couple new faces kind of stepping into the limelight here. If you had to pick one person, who is the player you are most excited to watch this week?
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I knew it, unfortunately.
You knew I was going to say that, Ty?
Yeah, I had a guess.
I mean, let me tell you something. My wife is not a football fan, and I played her the clip of Jameis singing yesterday when he got the starting job about New York, the verse from Hamilton.
I want fans to know that I'm going to do my best. Obviously, I'm going to have fun, but I'm going to execute, have a surgical execution, and just play ball, man. Like, this is something I've been doing since I've been 4 years old. And I just get to do it in the greatest city in the world. I'm going to be saying it with my son. It's the greatest city in the world. Yeah, that's a Hamilton reference, if y'all don't know. Yeah, 10-year reunion.
Jameis Winston is fun off the field, and he's fun on the field. And when you watch the guy, you never know exactly what you're going to get. You may get an 80-yard touchdown pass. You may get a pick six. You don't know what you're going to get. But I will say this, Ty, and I'm sorry to disappoint and offend you here. If I were a Green Bay Packer fan like yourself, Jameis Winston is not the quarterback I want to face this week.
No, not at all. I mean, I saw that, and it was just like, oh, great, of course this is happening. And then you couple that with getting an interim coach bump, which we know actually does happen in the NFL. For whatever reason, teams seem to play better after their head coach gets fired. But it's just, you could tell. I mean, we have a Giants fan in the office. That game on Sunday when Jackson Dart got knocked out, I think the Giants got the ball back with about a minute 40, a minute 30, whatever it was. But there was no feeling whatsoever that they were going to go down and either tie or win that game. Russell Wilson, just for better or for worse, he doesn't have the same infectious personality that Jameis does. So at the very least, those guys are going to be excited to play on Sunday. And yes, there's a chance he throws for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. And there's a chance he throws for 350 yards and 2 touchdowns and 4 picks. But as a fan, that's also why it's just not a great feeling going into Sunday. As a Packers fan, you're circling that one a couple weeks ago and thinking, hey, we're going to be okay. This should be a pretty easy win, especially after Monday night. We'll kind of, get back on the right track here. I don't feel like that today after they announced that Jameis is going to be the starting quarterback.
It's an interesting spot for Jameis. He's been waiting to play all year long. Russell Wilson was the starter at the beginning of the year. Jackson Dart then was handed the starting job as he should have been. He was great, and now he's in protocol. And I don't know when the Giants are going to bring back Jackson Dart, but if it were me and they're not winning these weeks, I'm not bringing Jackson Dart back at all. Jackson, put an earpiece in. I want you to listen to the offense that's called. I want you to watch and learn, but we're going to save you for your second year in the league. Why are we sticking Jackson Dart out there? And while we're sticking you out there and we got Jameis Winston as the starter, hey, let's have some fun. Let's see what Jameis can do. Nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. No. Mike Kafka, the interim head coach, is riding with Jameis. Again, I think that guy, his positivity is unbelievable. His attitude is incredible. And I just love being around that guy. I took my father to a Knick game for his 80th birthday in the spring. We talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Jameis Winston happened to be right next to us.
Oh, man, I bet that was awesome.
He comes over, and I said, hey, Jameis, it's my dad's 80th birthday. And he comes, Mr. Schefter, happy 80th birthday. Couldn't have been more genuine and sincere about it, right? That's the kind of guy he is. We're rooting for Jameis. No disrespect to your Packers.
No, I get it.
I would be uneasy about facing this guy on Sunday.
I certainly am, and I feel like there aren't very many guys in the NFL where, and I'm sure there are some people who don't like his shtick and maybe they get tired of it. But I feel like the league is just better when he's playing because he is incredibly exciting. I mean, how many guys do we have in this league who you truly have no idea what's going to happen every single time he drops back to pass? There aren't a whole lot of guys who might throw an 80-yard touchdown or a pick six, like you mentioned. Like we don't have a whole bunch of guys like that. Not just that, but the clips we're going to get from social media, from his press conferences and his interviews, and it's all earnest. It's real. He is unapologetically who he is, and today's day and age, that's very, very refreshing.
By the way, if ESPN wanted to hire Jameis right now to come join our crew as a football analyst, I'd welcome that right now.
In a heartbeat. I mean, I get it. He loves playing football. He is a football player. Whenever he's done, he is going to have a long, fruitful career covering the game, without a doubt. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll be back here on Tuesday, and I'll be miserable because Jameis had a
good luck with that
career day against the Packers. All right, Schefty, let's move on to topic number 5 of this Thursday's six-pack. We mentioned a couple of the marquee games at the top of the show. We have a couple other unbelievable games this weekend. Eagles-Lions on Sunday night and Bills-Bucs, obviously. Take this one however you want to.
Well, I think with all the attention that the Seahawks and Rams have gotten and the Broncos and Chiefs have gotten going out to the rest of the country, and the Eagles and Lions are on Sunday Night Football, I think that the Buccaneers-Bills game, which at one point a lot of people would have thought was a potential Super Bowl preview, has kind of gotten overlooked. Now, there are a few things that are interesting about this game. The Bills are struggling, not playing great football, coming off a huge loss in Miami against the Dolphins. A lot of people lost their survivor picks last week. Not me, but a lot of people did. A lot of people did. And the Bills, that was a bad loss. You beat the Chiefs and then go lose to the Miami Dolphins in Miami. Bad loss. Josh Allen is holding on to the football longer than he has at any point in his career. The guys on Get Up mentioned this morning, he's holding it for over an average of 3.5 seconds every time he drops back, which is a good second plus longer than most quarterbacks ordinarily do. Having a hard time finding open receivers, having a hard time finding downfield threats. It looks like in this particular game, I'll be very surprised as we tape this Thursday morning if Dalton Kincaid plays the way he grabbed his hamstring on Sunday and hobbled off the field. That looked like a 2, 3, 4 week injury to me, minimum. And he's been a weapon. Khalil Shakir's not healthy. Josh Palmer's not healthy. And guess what the forecast is for Sunday in Buffalo? 84% chance of rain. So it makes passing even more challenging. So they're going to have to rely on James Cook to run the football. Tampa also is going to have to run the football. Bucky Irving was back at practice this week. I'll be surprised if he plays on Sunday. I think this is an idea to get him back there, to ramp him up, to try to get him ready for maybe next week. We'll see if he can make it back by then. But you've got a situation where neither team is fully healthy. Both teams are coming off losses in the state of Florida. Both teams need to get back on track. And it's another big game on Sunday in Buffalo with the rain coming down.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier with Broncos and Chiefs and how that's not necessarily a must-win for the Chiefs. You look at this game for both these teams, I mean, the Bucs, they have the Rams next week in LA. If they drop this one to the Bills, and then they could be looking at going from 5-1 to 6-5 in a matter of a few weeks. And on the flip side, Buffalo, I don't want to say they're free falling, but man, the glaring holes in their defense have really shown up the last couple weeks. And with what the Patriots are doing, they really can't afford to drop two. I mean, I understand, hey, the playoffs are still there and they may not win the division, but there's really no room for error with what the Patriots are doing. They just continue to win and kind of increase that space in between those two teams. So we'll see. It's one of those games where both of these teams, like you mentioned, we were talking a couple weeks ago, this might be a Super Bowl preview. They both need this one bad to kind of get back on track as we head into the most important football of the season. So that should be an unbelievable game as well. All right, Schefty, let's move on to the sixth and final topic of this Thursday's six-pack. Monday night, we have Raiders and Cowboys. Obviously, everything that's going on with Marshawn Kneeland passing away and just a terrible, terrible situation. And everything about that is just so heartbreaking and so sad. What do you expect? What kind of emotion should we expect from that Monday night game in Dallas?
I think it's going to be really emotional for the Dallas Cowboys to come out in their first game after their bye, in the first game since they lost their teammate Marshawn Kneeland. And I think it's going to be a lot for them. It's going to be heavy. And Brian Schottenheimer, if you haven't seen it, did a great job this week, the Dallas Cowboys head coach, talking about Marshawn Kneeland, remembering that young man. And he said, and I think this is the one thing I want to point out to people, that the Marshawn Kneeland Memorial Fund has been started to help his girlfriend, Catalina, who's pregnant, to make sure that Marshawn Kneeland's family, young family, is taken care of and is, in the words of Brian Schottenheimer, set for life. So here's a girlfriend, a woman who lost her boyfriend while she's pregnant with his child. And it just makes the situation all the more tragic. It's sad enough when somebody that age loses his life, takes his life, is gone. I mean, just think about the fact, like, wow, these guys seem so invincible. 24 years old. He's on Monday Night Football. He scored a touchdown on Monday Night Football and is gone 3 days later. Like, that is incredible. He's not going to get to meet his child. He's not going to get a chance to raise his. You're a young dad. You know what that's like?
Oh, yeah.
It's unimaginable. It's unspeakably sad. And so hopefully that Memorial Fund will raise enough money for Catalina, for her child, for Marshawn Kneeland's child, and that they can be taken care of the same way that Marshawn Kneeland would have been able to take care of him had he been there. Again, I just think that there's going to be a lot of emotion. I think that he will be heavy on their minds and their hearts. And I think it's, you can't watch the Cowboys right now and not think of that. I can't. It's, to me, the most gripping thing about that team. Can they move past this and rally to try to save their season, which is way insignificant compared to this. But you understand, their job is football.
Yes.
And they've got to focus on their job. And that's kind of where we're at going into Monday night.
Yeah, and I think, it's just such a stark reminder that check on your loved ones, your friends. I mean, you don't know what people are going through, and you never know when, you're never going to see someone again. So it just, again, such a terrible situation, sad story. In my opinion, I think the Cowboys are going to beat the hell out of the Raiders on Monday night. I said in Dallas, it's in Vegas, but it just I feel like we've seen this a couple times, and not very often do we see it with someone who is an active player, a teammate on the team, but certain guys, have a family member or a loved one pass away, and for whatever reason, whether it's divine intervention or whatever you want to call it, those guys always show out in the game following that. And so, yeah, I mean, we know what Dallas is as a whole, or what they have been so far this year, but I expect them to maybe play their best game of the season on Monday night.
And that message, again, that's gotten out that the NFL has read, and I think it's just worth sharing. Again, if you or someone you know is struggling or needs emotional support, please call or text 988. That's 988. The Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available 24/7 to help. So think of that, take advantage of that, and hopefully that there's somebody out there that heeds that advice and moves forward. All right, we have a great week end of football ahead of us, Tide. I want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank Dan Stanzik. I want to thank John Galata for stepping in for Rob Lorenzo, who's under the weather. I feel like it's a day where everybody's stepping in. Greeny was out from Get Up. Peter Schrager stepped in. Rob Lorenzo's out. John Galata stepping in. You were out this week for Veterans Day, serving our country, all the people that have sacrificed for us. Dan Stanzik steps in. It's been one of those weeks where everybody steps in. I'm stepping into Taylor Lewan this week, if you haven't noticed. You see my arms all tatted up.
Those are real, right?
He came dressed up as a reporter today, or as an insider, suit, tie. So I got tats going on here, and I'll just say this, Ty, right now. My wife digs it. She wants me to come home like this.
There you go.
Just saying.
Looks pretty good, I must say. I thought they were real when I saw you this morning on Get Up.
Anyway, hope you enjoy what is and should be the best slate of NFL games that we've gotten so far. Should be a great week 11. Great job today, Ty. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll be back in this spot again Tuesday to look back at week 11 and to begin to look ahead to week 12. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. Be well and stay safe.